Hello, and welcome to our second session of Pulp Cthulhu. Once again, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is my attempt to justify buying the Call of Cthulhu Humble Bundle a few months ago. We are on a boat. We are on the Coolidge, which is at sea. Last time, our investigators, we met them. They were given a task. There were three items that someone was supposedly bringing aboard the Coolidge to transport across from San Francisco to Shanghai. They were tasked with finding out who that was, finding those items, destroying one of the items, putting in a fake for another one, and leaving the last one, with the idea that they want to follow the train and see who it gets delivered to in Shanghai. So that's our supposed plot going on here. When they got on board, they discovered that the purser has gone missing, and this is within a very, very short time. And Jake Malone, through his clairvoyance, has determined that someone has been killed. There were various other people that were met, things that were brought up, and where we left off at the very end of last time was outside the room of one Chad Peterson. And that's a scene we're going to come back to. I'm going to reframe that again, and we're going to come back to that bit, but we're going to start with two things. The first is our investigator advancements. So let's start with luck. So this is how this works. You have a luck score. You will roll percentiles. If you miss that, then you get to roll 2d10 plus 10 and add that to your existing luck score. So everybody should go ahead and do that and see if you can miss that. All of you are in pretty good shape with your luck, so I'm suspecting there won't be an advance on that. There we go. Okay, so it doesn't look like anybody advanced in their luck score, but we will check that at the beginning of each session. The other thing is, we are going to do the skill advances because we're doing a short run. We're going to go ahead and do that. Going forward, you will only mark the skill when you make a successful check on it. That is the rules, but we're going to stick with what I said last time and go through it. So here is how that works. Walk through your character, and for each thing that you have made a check on, with the exception of credit rating. Credit rating doesn't get affected, I believe, in that way. But everything else you can roll. If you miss the roll, then you may roll a d10 and add that many points to the skill value. So I'm going to let everybody walk through their characters, make those checks, and get that set. And when you have done that and you're done with making those checks, if you would just put OK in the chat to tell me that you're done.
And if we make the check, we don't do anything?
Correct.
Okay.
So I apologize. I got distracted by a personal message that came through just as you were talking through all of that. So
okay.
we're just doing the luck check, or are we doing all of the
doing all the skills? So walk through all of your skills except for credit rating. So I think that's just occult and science for you. Make a check. If you fail it, you get to roll a d10 and add that.
You don't get to improve your credit rating by using it. What a shame.
No.
No. Let's see why.
And then after you've done those, go ahead and clear those checks.
The only dice that Google doesn't support is the 1d100, it seems.
Oh, that's odd.
Away with the 2d10, I guess.
Exactly, like I used to do back in the day.
Mm.
We used to do it with two d20s because they were only marked 1 to 10 on all the sides.
And do we want to? I passed my luck check, but do we want to pass? Do we want to pass or fail our other checks? I can't remember.
You want to fail any of these
Fail, yeah.
improvement checks.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Okay, I'm done.
You're all done? Paul, are you done?
Yeah, just one advancement, spot hidden out of
Nice.
6 rolls.
That is a decent thing to go up. We will, as I said, check that at the beginning of each of the sessions that we're playing. So last time we're there on that Sunday morning, and I believe our first class passengers, which would be Latif and Jules, would have been drawn by the noise down at one of the first class cabins. And you would have seen in the hall outside of the cabin a seaman, Colin Amesworthy, who you interacted with, Latif, and Virginia Ripley. And there's some other people that have arrived kind of watching things. You'll see that Charles Astor is there, and some others. And there's basically kind of a disturbance, and you've seen the clothes laying across the floor. They are not letting you necessarily into the room. The steward has apparently called for the captain, or at least the first officer, and it definitely looks like Virginia Ripley is upset, doesn't know where Chad is, seems freaked out. So, Jules, what do you want to do?
I will grab hold of Virginia shoulders, and I'll say, "When did you last see him go? When?"
He was so upset last night after being taken to the cleaners. He did so badly at the tables. He was, but he, I mean, he was upset about that and embarrassed. But I don't. I mean, we're at sea. Where could he have gone? That's when I saw him last night.
Who's paying for this room? Chad?
My father is
Your
paying
father.
for us.
So you are in control of this room, yes? This is your room.
Well,
now.
it's Chad's room, but
Yes. You must trust me, Diego. If we will find Chad, we will find out what happened to Chad. I promise you this, but we must keep this room secure. We must make sure that no one I will help you find him. But if we allow all the crew to bungle in here and stomp all over everything, then they could destroy a clue to what happened to him.
Let's have you make, and I'll let you go with the highest of your very weak social skills. Charm.
That is the highest of my appearance. No. Okay, I will go with charm. That is a fail.
That is a fail.
By quite a large amount.
Yes. You would have to spend 42 luck to bring that to a success.
While Jules is speaking with Virginia, I will speak to the steward. That's. Do you say a steward was blocking our entrance?
Yes, Colin, who you interacted with yesterday, he will say, Mr. Latif, says the first officer is coming down to deal with the situation here. If you have any questions, Mr. Gamal.
Yes. Well, you can let me in because I consult for the San Francisco police. I am a police consultant. And this, as we steamed out of San Francisco, this must be within my jurisdiction. I don't know why I've become Russian.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to persuade him, or is it fast talk?
This definitely feels like fast talk to me.
Fast talk, probably because is there a persuade? Oh, there is.
There is.
Fast talk's a lot better for me. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how that goes. I made it by 14 points.
14 points. So go ahead and put a check by it. He will say, well, if you wait here, I need to disperse these people. The first officer will be down here shortly. And I'm sure that he will be like very pleased to have your expertise
Yes,
on.
push the crowd back, please. I will see what I can see.
And I think with the fast talk, like he is going to pay attention to that, maybe not pay attention to you slipping into the room there. Jules, you will see the steward kind of moving people along. You've got her with you. Your words seem to have kind of been misaimed, and instead she's just crying. You'll see Charles Astor will come over. He's like, let me kind of puts his hands on her shoulder and says, why don't I take her and we'll get her a drink, and we'll see if we can sort this out. Miss Roburn, I appreciate your efforts.
Of course. I will keep it. I will make sure. I will start looking for the poor boy.
He can't have gone far. I'm sure he has just decided to make some sort of a collegiate level rank here that must be. Well, we should
Yes.
uncover it.
Yes, I'm sure he can't have gone far. I say as I look back into the room and open the windows.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he will take her off. Latif, you have a couple of moments here before the first officer arrives.
What do I see in the room?
You will come in. The clothing definitely has the clothes laying there weirdly like they've kind of fallen out. You will see on the desk there, and this may be actually the source of why Virginia seems to be reacting so badly, is you will see that there is a note there. And you will read it, and it says, my life has been a lie, built on my father's money. Despite my outward seeming, I am a hollow millionaire without money. I know myself inadequate to make what I wanted of my life. Farewell, world. I go to a better place. Chad.
Oh, at least he didn't blame me for taking him to the cleaners.
Yes. It absolves you of a brief moment of guilt there.
Can I have a quick rummage through his neatly piled clothes?
Sure. Why don't you, make a roll for me there.
Spot hidden?
Spot hidden, it seems like.
I made it by 21 points.
Okay. So the only thing that strikes you is there is a strange kind of oily smell. That smell that you kind of got when the door was first kind of opened and out in the hall, that was hung there for a second, and there's an odd scent to it that kind of sticks with you.
I will steal one of his socks.
Okay. We'll wrap that up. And to answer your question about the luck, you only gain luck if you fail your luck roll, and then you gain 2d10 plus 10 to your luck.
Okay, so we're not using default Pulp Cthulhu.
Correct.
Cool.
So we come back out. I want to finish this little exchange out, bring the first officer on, and then I want to check with Gukesh and Jake. So, Jules, as you are there, the steward's kind of dispersing other people, and you will see dressed in the first officer's uniform, Hugo Schramm come down. he looked like a person who is not pleased to be there. This certainly seems to be like not in his list of duties, and he will come and speak briefly with the steward and perhaps be a little bothered when the steward says, well, I've let in a special investigator from San Francisco. And his eyes will narrow, I think, at that point. We'll come back to Latif and Jules in a bit. Kukesh, we are here early on this Sunday morning. People around in steerage are getting set, gathering things up. The missionaries have kind of taken one room to hold a morning service, and others have kind of headed off to get breakfast or wander about the ship where they're kind of permitted to. What do you want to do?
Remind me, who else was in third class? It was the musicians. There was these Chinese
musicians, the sort of insular group of Chinese, those missionaries, the father, those two guards that you chatted with, and a handful of other assorted folks.
Could I maybe overhear the Chinese?
That sounds like a listen check.
And I do speak Chinese like 40%.
Yeah.
Let's have a listen roll. D100.
Now, before you do,
oops.
You have a bonus die for listen.
Ooh.
No, that's Latif. I'm sorry. That's Latif. I apologize.
No worries.
You have the bonus die for stealth. That's right. Yeah. So you missed the listen roll?
I might be a critical failure. Let's see. How good is my listen?
Oh yeah, that's a critical failure.
It is.
As you are kind of moving over to do that, you position yourself in such a way that it becomes incredibly obvious to them that you are listening in. And
I also remind you that one of them spotted me last time when I was checking them out. So.
Yeah. And there is some quick conversation there. And one of them will turn to you and will say, was there something that you needed?
Oh no, I'm practicing my Chinese. I try to say in my best Chinese.
Maybe make a roll for that. Let's see how fluent you appear.
Oh, let's see. I think I have what do I have? 40?
I think a 50
actually. Even. Wow. Give it a go. Oh my lord, the dice are not my friend.
So I think you're Chinese, like you start in, but I think you're up, like you get spotted. This is uncomfortable. And you end up talking in a pidgin. And I think he says, that is Cantonese. We
Not
speak
Mandarin.
Mandarin. We cannot be of assistance to you.
I apologize.
We are people who keep to ourselves. I hope that you will respect that.
Well, I respect the Chinese culture, would love to get to know the language better, but I respect your decision.
And they will eye you, wait till you move away, and then go back to talking, perhaps even a little more conspiratorially now. Jake, what are you up to there in special class early in the morning on that Sunday?
Well, it occurs to me that Bunny and I never met up for that drink.
Yeah.
And so I think I'll head by Bunny's cabin to inquire if Bunny takes breakfast. I
You
mean, it's
will,
Sunday. We could have brunch.
yeah. You will head there, and he shares a cabin with another a gentleman, and that person will kind of look up at you, uh, reading a paper, and will say, "Oh, Mr. Bates didn't come back last night."
You don't say. Do you happen to know where he was headed?
No, uh, uh, I didn't see him after dinner. I assumed, given his manners, that he was going to hit the tables, or attempt to procure the attentions of some lady. He and I did
When
not.
you say some lady, do you happen to mean a working girl?
I certainly couldn't say, but I have the sense that perhaps that was the kind of thing that he would be engaged with here.
I was just going to say, I didn't know that such women would be on a boat like this, but I was hoping maybe you could direct me in, well, point the way toward me at least.
I'm afraid I can't. And he will like actually fold his paper and actually leave.
He's leaving the cabin.
Yeah.
I want to make a mental note of his appearance.
Okay.
And as soon as he turns the corner, I'm going to toss the place.
Okay. I'm gonna have a locksmith roll. I think it's an easy locksmith roll. Um, to pop the lock on this as he shuts it behind him. So when you do a bonus die roll, what you'll
Okay.
do is you roll a D100 and a D10.
Okay. Oh, let's see. There's well, that's a critical success right there. I don't even need to roll the D10.
That is true.
So there's 33 under 50.
Yeah, you will. And actually, with this, the doubles aren't critical.
Oh, okay.
The critical is a percentage thing.
Okay.
But you do make it, so you don't need to roll. I think you can easily pop this lock. The third class cabins do not have particularly sophisticated locks, and also you've had the chance to kind of take a look at them in your own cabin. And so you want to toss his stuff?
At this point, I want to toss the cabin because there's something about that guy leaving that, I don't know, didn't smell right.
Okay. Let's have you roll spot hidden.
I don't suppose I could use clairvoyance for it, could I?
Clairvoyance for it. Yeah, I'll let you roll that, but it'll cost you a D6 magic points.
D6 magic points. All right. What the hell? 2 magic points.
2 magic points, and roll with clairvoyance.
Do our magic points refresh after each day, or?
I have to take a look at that.
Okay.
I think it is with rest. I'll check what the rate of MP recovery is.
All right. And there is 24 under 65 for clairvoyance. And I'm just using my kind of journalistic instinct to see if I can smell what's interesting. Not literally, but just kind of toss the places where normal, unusual, hidden stuff might be.
I think that you will have the sense that Bates left for dinner. Like you can kind of see that, you kind of get that feel as you're kind of looking around. We get that Sherlock Holmes mind palace reconstruction thing. And then you will see that later he comes back. His cabin mate is asleep. Bates comes in quietly, pulls out one of his cases from under the bed quietly, opens it up, and slips 2 pistols into his pockets, slides it back, and then heads back out. But must have been late when that happened. Very late.
Interesting.
Does that feel like fair info?
Yeah. I'll probably want to use clairvoyance in a little bit to see if I can follow where his essence went or whatnot. But yeah.
Okay. Let's come back to Latif and Jules, and I'll assume that the two of you are you keeping yourselves distinct and separate, or are you standing together?
I'm happy to stand together.
Yeah, I think I can depend on Latif's disguise to separate him out, and I'm clumsy enough that I need all the help I can get. Frankly, I'm out of my element here. Yeah, so we're looking in the room, right?
Well, here is actually what we're going to start with is the first officer has arrived, and he is he says, "Is there anything to suggest that there's foul play, Mr. Gamal?"
No, nothing in the room that would suggest foul play as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I haven't had long enough to check the room fully. Somebody may have snuck in through the vent, through the window. But
the steward says that Virginia mentioned a note. Did you find a note?
yes, there is a note. And I will hand him the note.
Okay. And the first officer will look at that and
don't touch. It may need to be dusted for fingerprints.
This is a suicide note. I do not think we need to dust for fingerprints.
Come, it's common police practice. You never know what has happened. Do not contaminate the crime scene.
And he will pull out his first officer's gloves, and he will put them on, and he will say, "Well, I will take this down to the doctor if this is evidence. But there's no blood. Looks like he jumped. Would you assume, Mr. Gamal?"
He is not in his room. That is for sure.
Fair.
Whether he jumped, it will require some investigation.
Well, why don't you come out of there?
Why would a man who's committed suicide leave his clothes, take his clothes off? What, is he afraid of the laundry bill?
First officer will stop and will say, "That is a matter for the police when we arrive in Honolulu. It may also be that this is some sort of jest or jape, and I will tell the crew to look to see if they can spot him. Perhaps he has decided to slum it in steerage or something of that sort. Now, if you two will please step away, I'm going to lock this room up, and I will take this note down to our doctor. And Mr. Gamal, will you make yourself available should the captain wish to speak with you on this matter?"
Of course, the captain can consult me at any time.
And you can tell, he just doesn't want to even think about this. He goes, he takes his key, he locks it. You'll see him look up at the seaman who's been standing there in the hall and says, "Why are you still here?" And the seaman kind of goes, and I'll get back to my station. And heads off. And the first officer will then head off. The steward will say, "I'm sorry, he's a little with the purser
I
absent."
understand. He must be under some pressure.
Yes, yes. Well, I appreciate that. I'm so glad that you were present here, Mr. Gamal, Miss Roburn. Should you do anything, I'm acting as the purser. So should you require anything, please just come and see me.
Of course, of course.
And
And
then
I
we'll,
think now would be a good time, Jules, to walk the decks with Jake and Gurkesh. I feel.
Yes, not just one person missing, but two. I fear something far worse than a splash in the ocean.
I definitely don't think he's gone for a swim. That's for sure.
Tell me, was there any strange smells? Did you feel ozone in the air? Anything?
There is a strange smell, but I have procured an item from the cabin, but I will share it with you once we meet up with Jake and Gurkesh. They may have some further ideas on it.
As we go away, Jules is just talking to you about, there are these theories about energies and strange, the radiations that they leave behind and everything. We could be looking at such a phenomenon here. Tillingast, name Tillingast. Does it ring any bells to you, Latif? Fascinating work.
No, I think you've been looking at the little cat pictures drawn by that strange British man. He was really into the ethers and the electrical signals. Believed cats would take over the world. Crazy man.
we will cut to a sunny Sunday mid-morning. The steerage and the special class people are, have room to walk on some of the lower promenades. It's one of the places where there is a little bit of mingling, though they do try to keep the steerage folks away. But we will cut to the four of you in classic cruise ship story things, standing by a shuffleboard, essentially knocking the things so that you can all kind of stand together without attracting undue attention.
And I will recount the story of the cabin to both Gurkesh and Jake. And I'll say that I'll explain his suicide note, which seemed reasonably believable. It didn't implement me for taking him to the cleaners, which I was thankful of. And his clothing was folded quite oddly, and it had an oily smell to it. And I've procured one of his socks. Let's hope
You can't open a window on a boat, right?
Yeah, now mind you, the windows that are there on those first class cabins, if we look at the Coolidge, those are the starred ones. They are on the level that he was at, able to essentially open those out. It would be difficult, but not impossible, to climb out of one. On the other hand, it's just a short walk up to the next deck where one could jump from the boat deck.
It looks, if I'm right, you would be exiting the first class onto the promenade? Between you and the...
It looks like so the first class that are on deck A, I believe that those have windows out.
Okay. Straight onto the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that means I don't have to go canvassing for people who might have been on the promenade at the time that were there then.
And I take it this oily smell, there's no chance that is funnel smoke got into his... It's not the same smell we could smell from the funnel.
No.
It's a different...
No, it is not.
Cthulhu game. Of course it's not.
I will allow someone to make a natural world or roll or a critical spot hidden roll or a difficult spot hidden roll. So 50%.
Well, I am the spot hidden person here. So, I mean, if nobody's got any decent natural world, nobody's David Attenborough here.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, nobody's got anything in that. Yeah, I'll make that spot hidden difficult roll.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes. 95.
95.
It's probably not a critical fail though, because I've got 66 in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, mind you, you could push the roll.
I know, but it's a difficult roll, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 33%, half of your spot hidden.
No, I mean I'd have to raise that ridiculous. I'd use up near all my luck.
No. Push your roll means you can re-roll, but if you fail, the consequences are significantly worse.
Okay, so my chance of success is I've got 66
You
skills,
got a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah, 1 in 3.
but it's difficult.
That's
So
your normal is 6. So 66 halved is 33%. So
I've got a 1 in 3 chance.
yeah, it's up to you.
That's not too bad.
You wouldn't
If
walk
you
down
fail,
the
I'm
street.
getting that Virginia is just happens to come by and be like, "What are you doing with this sock?"
Sorry, I could go instantly into a Blue Velvet scene there. While I went.
Blue Velvet, Pink
Okay.
Panther. I'm either one with that at that point.
Yeah, let's give it. You got to be in it to win it, haven't you?
Okay.
No, 83. So that's now a critical failure.
So I think that there is a moment where you're doing that, and you'll hear as you're sniffing at this sock, and you will see that the first officer and the captain have approached, and they've come upon you standing with these other three, sniffing this sock.
Can I quickly toss it overboard?
Sleight of hand.
Sleight of hand. Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Yeah. I think this is also.
Now that might be a critical failure.
So I think it is incredibly obvious that you're pulling the sock back over your shoulder as if trying to like very clearly hide evidence. And the captain.
Captain, first officer.
Latif, my handkerchief. I don't have many of those, you know.
Oh, the handkerchief. Captain, first officer.
I have it to understand that you are an investigative specialist from San Francisco.
A consulting detective for the SFPD.
Do you perhaps have any identification or papers or documentation to that effect, Mr. Gamal?
I do, of course. It is not on me. Okay. Quick meta. What is there a forgery skill?
There is art craft forgery.
Which I 100% don't think anybody's.
Yes, I think the other character had forgery actually, but that's how I know that there's art craft forgery.
Fast talk for this?
Or acting?
So I think this is a hard acting role to convince him that he should take you at face value without you presenting those papers. Does that seem reasonable?
It does. Now, I do have Master of Disguise that allows me to spend 10 luck points to gain a bonus die on art, craft, acting.
Perfect. Spend those 10 luck points.
I will indeed. You need to spend them down to make them go up.
Yes. And you'll roll with you want a 28 or less. You can roll with a bonus die. So roll percentiles and then roll a d10.
I think Horst's poor luck dice have rolled up on me. Yes, they have. So I've rolled 84, and now I roll 1d10.
You
10.
got it, because that replaces the 10 spot.
Oh,
So
excellent.
it becomes a 14. Go ahead and mark your acting. What is it that how do you sell this to him?
I think I've so 30, are they talkies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've watched a lot of pop movies. Must have been 10 a penny then.
Right.
So yeah, I think I act in a very quite a famous, a bit Sherlock Holmesy, a bit a classic American detective of the time. Yeah, I drop a lot of the phrases, and I think probably they're going to pick up on that. That he seems to be using the lingo, and I think that Nick and Nora, there we go. That probably convinces him that he seems to know what he's talking about.
All right. All right. We have spread word amongst the crew to be on the lookout for Mr. Peterson, as well as any evidence that he perhaps took his own life. It is not unheard of on these voyages. But if you could keep your eyes open, that would be appreciated, Mr. Gamal.
We will, and we also have the missing purser, one of your crew.
Yes. I believe that is a separate matter.
Quite possibly, but I could lend my skills in that direction as well. Could you furnish me with a list of crew and all passengers? Maybe we have a stowaway.
Okay, now that is definitely a persuade roll.
Okay.
Before I come back to the group here.
Yeah, okay. Again, that's I seem to be the persuade king around here. Ooh.
Now, would
Can
you
I
like
spend
to?
some luck?
Yeah, you can spend it 1 for 1 to take that down.
Excellent. Because I got 34 in it.
Yeah.
I rolled 36, so I'd like to spend some luck. Do I need to take it under it?
No, you just take it to 34, spend 2 points. You still get to mark it as a successful use.
Excellent.
He will say, I will speak to the acting purser to allow you to look through the passenger registry. I would ask that you be discreet
I will
with
bring
that
it to your
information
attention.
and discreet
Excellent, Captain.
about the fact that we are sharing that information with you.
Of course, Captain.
And
You
he'll
will be the only one that knows.
yes, and he will turn to the other three and say, "Gentlemen, ladies," and he and the first officer will head off.
A true oily situation.
You're
Well,
not suspect, though. I was hoping to test that. I was hoping to run some experiments.
We got caught. What could I do?
I suppose you played it well, Latif. And besides, now you're practically, am I too early to say Sherlock Holmes? Yeah.
The Egyptian version.
Yes.
We can always break in if we need to.
talking
Besides,
about breaking
the insulting
in,
detective here.
Latif, didn't we want to check out that mysterious green box?
Yes. Before this happened, I really did want to go to the hold, and you are definitely an impressive man in a situation. So,
Yes.
So this box in the hold, I mean, it seems rather large for what we're looking at, doesn't it?
Well, it is very light, though. They said it is very light. Do you think it is a dead end?
It seems too odd to be a coincidence. I admit. Our experience says that such things are rarely innocent. I just don't know, see how it fits in with our items. Unless
Missing people are also not a coincidence. This is all connected, obviously.
And
yes,
that's
yes.
the way it could be a dead end.
Finding out about the items might lead us to the perpetrator.
I agree
Well,
that they're certainly connected. I'm sure.
What other leads do we have? Let's explore
Well,
them.
Doctor, I thought I was getting on rather well with Dr. Sung, but I appear to put my foot in it. I don't know quite what I said, but while I was in her cabin, her man, he seemed rather keen on hiding something, and she is a student of, well, of Tibetan occult
Scrolls.
knowledge.
Mr. Wing.
Mr. Wing, yes, and well, I mean, if I was to pick one person on this ship who may have an interest in a occult book of Tibetan mysticism, I would say it would be Dr. Sung. So far, everybody else are industrialists, dilettantes. And what was it, your man? A gangster, Mr. Malone? Another missing person, perhaps?
certainly seems to be.
Okay, if we preempt that he's number 3, then that is clearly a line of inquiry. We have the list the captain will furnish us. We could do some cross-referencing. If only somebody was a living computer. And we have the green box in the hold.
The 3 missing people, the cabins, are they located next to each other or next to, I don't
The
know,
pursers
Dr.
definitely
Sung?
wouldn't have been.
Yeah. Persia
Well,
would be
that's
in the
true.
crew area.
Hmm.
Chad is in the first class cabins, and of course, Bunny is down in the special.
And vertically?
No, would have been different sections of the ship. But good question.
We could ask the crew to find out where Dungass was last seen, because we don't even have like a body or anything, or clothes.
I agree, that's a good line of inquiry. Where was he last? And trace his steps.
Hmm.
He must have gone somewhere and told somebody.
He had a task, didn't he? He had a task to take you to the safe or something? No, there was
Yes,
some
and
time in between.
he failed to turn up at this. Yeah, he was going to come to my cabin and he failed to turn up.
So, Jules, do you think we should first steal the item from Dr. Sung?
I fear such a thing is beyond my talents. Luckily,
Well,
I do, but he seems rather in demand.
we
But
can crack the box another day, maybe, Latif.
I don't know if we. The box seems the most solid lead and yet the most defended. Yes, they have guards standing over it at all hours.
Oh no, no, they don't.
No, they don't watch it all the time.
No, the armed
Also, it's in the
guards brought it down and put it in the hold, but they are
Right.
not watching that.
Well,
Jules, the box may interest you. It probably contains some machinery or some kind of item. It's clearly
well,
not a person.
I was rather hoping that I could run some experiments upon
the stock.
Mr. Chad's sock, given that I can no longer get inside the room where the rest of his clothing and the scene of the crime is. I suppose I may have to come up with something. I feel that some of the things I have been working on may confirm the presence of eldritch energies and perhaps be able to detect where they might lie within the ship. But it's just a theory until I can put it into practice, you understand? And at the moment, I'm not confident that it would work well at quite the remove of the corridor. Which again would beg I would need a man to help me get back inside that room. I am sadly not a locksmith. I don't know what to do. I think the only things that we know are that the purser was probably the first person to disappear, yes, because he failed to meet you,
Yes.
Mr. And I believe that and Chad was with us later in the evening, and Mr. Bates was afterwards. So perhaps we are uncertain of whether Mr. Bates disappeared. Was it before or after Chad? And we are uncertain, but either way, both of them disappeared after the purser.
And I will say a couple other things just to kind of add to clarify some details. Certainly, the captain is willing to let you look at the passenger manifest. He's clearly indicated that the steward has been informed of this. You probably could get the steward to let you back into the cabin, given that the captain's okay, Jules, just to say that. You also have the information that Jake had about Bunny going back to his room, getting his guns, and then leaving. Which is another piece of information. And there was also that crewman who was standing around during that whole time in the corridor, sort of oddly.
Hmm.
Do we know the name of the odd crewman?
I think that you would have
Well,
heard.
as in, is he in the NPC tab?
Yes, he is. Hallander.
He looks shifty.
You mentioned Cullen Amesworthy. Was he with the Astor party?
Colin Amesworthy is the steward who is acting as the chief purser now.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Hmm.
Bunny.
I
Why would he leave with guns? So weird.
well, he's American. If you've not met them, no offense, Jake.
No, is that sufficient?
Yeah, it's totally sufficient. I wouldn't take offense to that. We do carry a lot of guns.
That's
Jake,
right.
you can spot a shifty person well. Do you think you could speak to Hollander?
Me?
I think he said Jake, right?
Jake.
Oh, Jake.
I mean, I could.
He was
Yeah.
definitely acting shifty, and clearly he's not a first class. He's a crewman, so there is no problem with interaction with him.
You have a way
You know,
of
I've talked to
ferreting
enough
out
boys on the docks. I think I can get him to talk.
Do you need backup?
I mean, if you want to send Gukesh with me, you can always dangle him off the edge of the boat if he doesn't say what we want to hear.
I can read people as well. I can shoot them. I can also read them.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's Jake and Kukesh cornering Hallander, Jules getting access back to the room for the materials for the experimentation, and then we'll see where Latif wants to go, either the records or
The
something
list.
else. Okay.
I'm going to get the list.
Yeah. Let's take our first break and we'll come back and run through that. So take 10 and we're back. And we're going to cut to a little bit later, and we will see Gukesh, Jake. You have asked a few people and eventually tracked down Albert Hallander. He's notable because apparently he has you don't exactly have sick leave, but you do have some time that you can take a few extra hours off, and apparently he's done that. And you will find him down essentially in the crew lounge, seated there. He's got a mug of coffee that when you sit down, you can definitely smell the bourbon coming off of the coffee cup. And he didn't see either of you two at that scene. He doesn't know either of you two are, but he does know that you're out of place, and he kind of looks up at you too. Can I help you, gentlemen?
Yeah. We are looking for a Martin Dungass.
Oh, the purser. God, I haven't seen him since the first day.
Where have you seen him?
Day one, he was bossing folks around, giving the shout to us. Like I saw him after we set sail, and he was giving us our marching orders. That must have been 3 o'clock. We had to do the first turn down, and I haven't seen him since. I only heard later that he was missing, but he was on the boat when we took off.
Well, maybe you can help us find somebody else. I got this pal, Bunny Bates. He never made it back to his cabin last night. He was at the tables. And the table's not up in the nice parts of the boat.
Is he in first class?
No, he's down here.
Oh, I work the first class cabins.
Really? Guy like you?
Yeah. Sorry, I can't help.
Rakesh, I think he's holding back on us here.
It's also around when Peterson disappeared. Strange coincidence, isn't it?
And
And I
like,
mean, drinking this early in the day?
his face, when you say Peterson's name, like will set, and that's where you can start to see him get nervous. The other things you've asked about, you have a sense he doesn't have any idea. But you mentioned Peterson's name, and suddenly he's like, what was it you needed?
Well, Mr. Malone. I
Seems
think
helpful now.
Yes. I think he has seen something, didn't he? Something
Maybe something he doesn't want to tell
strange.
people. Kind of thing a fellow might be called crazy for saying he saw.
Yeah, we won't do that. We saw some crazy shit.
Let's have you, Gukesh, make a psychoanalysis roll here. And then we'll kind of roll that into a social roll from Jake. Does that seem fair?
Yes, 26.
Okay. So, yeah, you could tell as you're talking to him, this guy has had a major shock. Like, he is trying to parse it. He's trying to get it. Something has happened to him, and he's not sure how to explain it. Jake, what do you want to roll to try and get him to open up to you?
I want to sit down at the table and pour a cup of coffee and put some rye whiskey from my flask in it. And then, what do you think would be more appropriate, fast talk or psychology?
This feels more like psychology to me on this one.
Okay.
14,
That is
both
a
of you. Don't
14.
forget to mark successful rolls. He'll
I'll
say,
kind of look at him and say, I carried this with me ever since I saw some stuff that I couldn't really explain. Makes the nights easier. Days easier, too. So what'd you see, Pally?
so I was walking along, minding my own business in the hallway, and I heard a noise from Mr. Peterson's room. And I will tell both of you with your psychology and psychoanalyze, he's lying about this part. The next stuff that he tells you is true. I used my key and I opened the door and the carpet moved. And then there was some light and there must have been millions of them. Millions of cockroaches, bugs that swarmed there, and they poured out of the room, out the window, and I saw the claws on the ground, and I'm not gonna lie, I screamed, and Peterson's fiance came out, and she saw me, and she looked in, and she saw his clothes, and he said there was a note there. I didn't say anything about the bugs. What the fuck could I say? How could I tell anyone that? But they were there.
I'd think you were crazy if you did.
They were there, I swear. I've never seen anything like that. It wasn't just that there were bugs. I've seen bugs before. But the whole thing, when they moved with a purpose.
Like they were all being driven with one mind.
Perhaps. And he just kind of sits there.
I sit next to him, put a meaty palm on his shoulder. We believe you, man. But why were you in that hallway, really? Minding your own business, my ass.
Dikesh, you know, there's questions we need answers to and questions we don't need answers to. And if the crewman here said he just happened to be walking down a hallway in first class, I mean, I'm in second, you're in third. I don't see how we need to ask him any questions about what he was doing there. Do you really?
Well, he's in a
I mean, if a
confessing
few
mood.
things go missing from a first class stateroom, do we give a shit? I don't give a
Sometimes
shit.
you wanna get things off your chest. Feels
I-
good, doesn't it?
Look, I'd seen him the night before, and he looked like an easy mark.
It
So
was an easy mark.
I when I was doing my rounds before I knocked, I didn't hear anything, and I let myself in. I thought maybe he'd have left some cash around or something. And then I saw that.
So listen, Hollander. We're not going to tell anybody about the bugs. And Gukesh, we don't really need to tell anybody anything else, do we?
No, we wouldn't.
But I may need to come to you for a favor. And when I do, I expect the answer to be yes. Fair?
Let's have you make an intimidate roll with a bonus die.
All right, so that's intimidate. That's 1d100 plus d10, correct?
Yep, and if the D10, you can swap the D10 digit in for the tens digit if you want.
All right, and my intimidate is 30. All right, I'm going to need that 1d10.
It's the meaty palm that massages his shoulder now. That's the D10.
So that gets down to a 44. So I'd need to spend 14 points of luck to get it to a success?
Absolutely. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
You're losing
let's do
money
that.
not spending it.
right? It's just sitting there.
Yeah.
I might as well do something with it.
Okay. And he'll be like, yeah, whatever you say, just like, please don't tell anybody what I saw, and don't tell them anybody what I was doing. And I'll help you out, man. I'll get you what you need. You need me to slip you a little something, you need me to have something fall off a table and rolls down into your room. I can do that, man.
This might be information. It might be getting somebody that I know into the machine shop to make something.
Okay.
Just stuff that you'd probably be doing anyway, but you'd be helping out some friends. Because good catch, that's who we are now, right? We're all friends here.
All friends here.
Okay. And he nods. You can tell he is under your thumb pretty significantly. You've done your psychological readings on him. You pushed on him. It all seems good. Let's cut to Jules. Jules, you will go to the steward. You'll ask about the room, and he will say, "Oh, actually, if you head down there, Miss Roburn, the doctor's in there right now. So the room should be open."
Excellent. Let me just fetch. Well, yes, no, dash off. Rushing to my room first to grab various, what I think it is a Geiger counter
Okay.
that I'm dealing with over some time, because this is, I think that Jules' attempts to understand the unnatural and whatever she's saying the what were they called, the radium people, the Curies experiment. They showed the dangers of radiation and the effects that could have upon people. Now, what if these strange things that we are looking at, well, they must command powerful energies that could have such effects upon the human brain, the human thing, and I'm trying to come up with a way of sensing these. That's what I've been working on, right?
Absolutely. And we'll come back to that device. Essentially, we'll say that that's the device that you've built already. We'll use science physics for implementing it. And it will cost you some magic points when you do it. But does that seem fair?
Yeah, seems totally fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll head down. You've got your materials, your bag, your gadgets, and things like that, and you'll come down. And I think in that very particularly film noir thing, you see the doctor first in silhouette, smoking, as she's looking around the room, and she'll look and she says, in that kind of deep husky voice that you get of these characters, she'll say, "And who might you be?"
And Jules, has like tools in one hand and the Geiger counter thing in the other, and she sort of shoves one under her arm and sticks one hand out, nearly dropping the stuff. And she says, "Jules Roburn, I was a friend of I am a friend of Mr. Peterson's in Virginia's."
Oh,
yes, I was hoping to use the. Well, I have a theory. You see, I have a piece of equipment that I was hoping might be of use in identifying what happened to Mr. Peterson, where he might be. Are you familiar with alpha wave radiation?
I've heard of it.
Yes, well, they're doing the Rowan guns. Yes, they're doing wonderful work with X-rays. It is, but there is a trace of radiation that is left, that is attached to things, and I'm hoping that, well, it's just a long shot, but it can't do any harm. Yes.
If it
tell me-
can't do any harm, you're welcome to. They told me to come down and check and see if I could find anything here, blood or anything like that, to see if something had happened, but I haven't seen anything, so you are welcome to take a shot at it.
Why, thank you, Dr.
Uh,
Elliot.
the name's Elliot.
And you found nothing so far, then, I take it.
No, like I would have expected maybe to see, I mean, the porthole's tight. I would have expected to see maybe some scrapes or something, someone climbing out. but I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything else that suggested violence. I heard that there's some sort of a detective on board who thinks there's some sort of foul play involved.
Yes, famous detective,
Oh,
renowned around the world for his escapades in law and order. But yes, the it's rather odd, isn't it? She points down at the clothes still sort of scattered where they were. Like
she's like, it's a little strange, but
it's almost like a man, like they were arranged to look like the outline of a man.
I don't know. I've seen weirder stuff.
Me too. Hold this,
Yep.
After,
She'll grab onto this object and she goes, now you said this isn't dangerous, right?
but this isn't dangerous. No, not at all. No, no, it simply detects things that may be dangerous.
Okay.
I think.
Let's have you roll physics.
So
That
49.
will make that.
Yeah, I'll make that. Yeah.
Roll me a d6 for magic point spent.
I can't believe that 1d6 is not one of the default button presses.
I know it does seem odd, doesn't it?
2d6 though, but yeah, I guess it's a conventional resolution mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.
So 3 points. Now, what is it that this thing detects? What is it that you want to know, or what's a question you want answered here from this thing?
I think that really, right, the most that it can possibly detect, as far as her theories go, is it is like a Geiger counter. It can if there are like weird, she's tubbed it her strange energy detectors, right?
Okay.
So like it's more a sense of that if it detects something here, I could possibly detect it elsewhere and draw a connection with that, like a Geiger counter, basically.
This place is glowing. I think like there was something potent and supernatural in here, and I think you will see the telltale waveform that you have detected before when someone invokes a hypergeometric spell and lets loose with it. And not only was there someone of some significant power, but they let loose with something, and you very much suspect that Chad is no longer in this world.
Oh. And I imagine if the doctor knows anything about Geiger counter, she's probably quite
Wow,
unnerved at the.
that's very loud. Very, very
Yes,
loud.
yes. It's not radiation in the conventional sense. It is a. I don't believe that there are any long-term or short-term effects.
Uh-huh. You don't believe.
I mean, it's a young science,
Uh-huh.
pioneering. But perhaps I suppose it would do no harm to stand outside of the room.
I'm all for that. And she will back out with this. It does like the crackle does diminish as you step outside. That
Yeah, yeah. Well, I suppose it confirms that something profoundly energetic happened here. Uh, doesn't seem rather good news.
what does that mean?
Well, this detects, uh, in layman's terms, it detects a release, a release of energies that bind themselves to the local environment, and for something to register this loudly must have been quite profound indeed. Tells us nothing more than something rather odd happened here, but it confirms that something odd did happen here rather than merely a leap out the window. Now, of course, I have so much work to do here, so much work.
Well, I'm going to leave you to that, given what you said about the uncertainty of the long-term consequences. How about I leave you to it? If you need anything, I'll be down in the infirmary.
You've had no other incidents other than the purser and Mr. Peterson's disappearance?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, you know where to find me. I'm just down the road there. Again, if you hear anything, if you see anything, I would be most interested.
Absolutely. And you'll give me a heads up if you pick up more of this and tell me where I should not walk in the ship.
Capital.
Latif, we'll cut to you in the purser's office. You've been handed the passenger manifest there. And I don't think this is necessarily a role because you kind of look through and it does look to you like you're kind of checking over things. You've got some lists of names, you're kind of cross-comparing things like that. You've got that sign-in sheet that the purser had. You start with the first-class passengers and you work there. And the thing that will strike you between the ticketing manifest, like the book, and the thing that the purser has there, and it's pretty easy because the purser has the name circled. And when you look through the roles on the ship, you will see that Senor Gutierrez de Almacan is not listed as a passenger.
So the list of ticketing, he's not on that.
He's not on that, but apparently he had some kind of ticket and he came on, and when then later on, apparently the purser like cross-checked it.
I take it we're some of the last people booked on, are we?
Absolutely.
If not the last.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably are the last names on here.
Yeah, because I was worried that maybe, we've
No.
already been given away and somebody sort of come on board to do us over.
Yeah,
So
no,
that's
it
sort of
looks like
answers that question.
essentially they wired telegram office over to the ship when your tickets
Okay.
were bought.
I think that's a crucial clue. So I'm gonna race off to join up with Jules, Jake, and Gukesh.
Okay. Let's bring you all back together. A meetup sort of mid to late afternoon. Perhaps find you up on one of the upper decks. Various people out smoking. Drinks are being brought for everyone. And the three of you can consult quietly and privately away from any eavesdropping persons.
The cockroaches, they seem to point towards the Tibetan scrolls, right? That's not the work of a dagger or film.
I mean, isn't
I'm-
it?
Can we say that for certain?
We can't. Right? It's a working theory.
I'd
The only
say
thing I
it's
can say is I want a flamethrower just in case we see anything like that. And Jules, that seems to be squarely in your camp.
yes. I'd prefer when we're closer to land. Maybe I'll start working on it. Yes. Boats do seem rather flammable in my view, but cockroaches. I suppose all we can say really is that it's not doesn't sound like the film. And she sort of like pauses as she talks about the film for a second, like really has a hunger in her eyes at the discussion of that, and then snaps back. But I had a breakthrough. You know what I've been working on? The device that I tested in LA. It works. I got. I was off the scale. Strange energies, much like the that hypergeometric ritual that we the remains of that we found at the site in LA.
So it's a spell. It's a spell from the scroll, right?
Spell is so unscientific.
Well, it's a hyper from a scroll.
Yes,
I mean,
suppose.
equations are a kind of spell, aren't they?
So Dr. Soon is our suspect number one.
Stop. We are theorizing now. I have a hard lead.
What is your hard lead? Alvarez.
No, somebody came on the ship. That's on the ship now that did not maybe buy a ticket. Senor Gutierrez Almacan.
Oh, wow,
Odd.
what a crime. He didn't buy a ticket. That makes him suspect number one now.
So what is he doing in first class? The purser clearly ringed his name. He shouldn't be here. He has not bought a ticket. Now, thinking back, Lowell, how much of Senor Gutierrez have we seen?
You haven't
Meal
seen him.
times
You haven't
and
seen him since.
entertainment times.
You haven't seen him since day one. You saw him when you were first boarding. I mentioned him. I think you saw him as people were going to their cabins, but that is it. You haven't seen him. You didn't see him at dinner. You haven't seen him at all since then.
Crazy theory.
Unless the man has the weakest stomach and is stuck to the toilet, we should have seen him.
Could it be that all the disappearances are linked to a different item? So I would say Peterson is definitely Dr. Zoom and the deck and the the book. We need to find out what Alvarez connection is to Dungas. Why did he? Oh, he circled it. Obviously, he circled the name because he has no ticket. And when he confronted Alvarez, he took out the dagger or the film.
Gutierrez, I believe you mean.
Oh,
Gukesh.
Gutierrez. I'm sorry, Alvarez is the priest.
But I agree with Mr. Latif that it's a connection. Yes, it's a motivation, something that we lack for any of the other suspects. I mean, why would anyone do such things? If you were trying to take these objects to sell them or to use them, why would you use them on board the vessel? I fear there's a sinister purpose we're not glimpsing as yet.
I must admit that I've not considered the objects. I'm trying to deal with the disappearance of human beings here.
Well, Latif, you're not the police. We are not the police. We are here for the items. While it is unfortunate that a stowaway has killed the purser, we need to, stay course.
The disappearances, if they're related to the items, the explanation's simple. You want to show that they work. These are just object demonstrations to make sure that people know the value. Are they being sold on the boat on the way to Shanghai? Are people trying to, hell, I don't know, maybe it's maybe they're trying to form some sort of, bund where they're all working together instead of one person owning all of it. It might be representing separate organized crime families.
You suspect a conspiracy, Mr. Malone? I fear we're wildly speculating here.
Look, we've gone past the point of logic. Logic doesn't have carpets that turn into cockroaches and devour people. So
let's get the senor out of his cabin so we can go in there and search it. If the items are in there, we may find them.
I mean, if he's a stowaway, that isn't that hard.
He clearly must have some weight if he's pulling off a first-class disguise, should we say. But I think we could possibly go there with the captain maybe and confront him.
I suppose this is the only question that remains, is do we wish to inform the captain of the purser's discovery and
Aha! I
do we
could
wish
disguise myself as a member of the crew. He has not been to meals. He does not know who I am. I am a master of disguise.
Yes, I think that's rather a good idea. And perhaps Gukesh could be nearby.
Definitely, yes. Well, as many people as we can spare.
For all of us.
Well, if he's carrying 3 powerful items, I don't want to cast aspersions on your skills, Gukesh, but The more hands, the better. If he is a master manipulator of the ethers.
I have a suggestion.
Go
We
ahead.
could also split up, which is always a good idea. We confront Dr. Soong. If she is, as I suspect, responsible for the death of Peterson, well, then we have a problem. But let's say she has information about, your theory is right, and Alvarez is behind everything, then she might have information about the scrolls. And Jules clearly burned her connection with Soong.
Well, I would suggest that rather than directly accusing a learned woman of play class and culture of simply, some nefarious deeds simply because she's an expert in the field, I admit that I am the one who brought it, but does not necessarily mean I would hate to, there were rather some nefarious trials about those such things in the past. But perhaps, Mr. Malone, you have I believe between you and Mr. Latif, you're the most, how shall I put it, silver tongue among us. You could perhaps interview her about her subject. You could ask. I wonder if perhaps we would do well at coming straight at the subject, tipping our hand, as it were, in some regard. And you could ask directly about the book.
Jules,
And ask her
I am a
if you
charming
advise
person. I feel
Yes.
deeply hurt.
Of course you are, Kakesh. And she reaches up and pats the mountain of muscle and grit. Yeah.
Under these muscles, there is a heart and a kind of silvery-ish tongue.
So if you were to split this 2 and 2, if that would seem to be Jake and Jules talking to the doctor, with Latif and Horst going and checking out Senor Gutierrez's cabin. Does that seem right?
Latif and
Works for me.
Jules, yeah.
Okay, then let's start.
Latif and Jules. No, I thought it was Latif and
Latif and
Kukesh.
Gukesh. Sorry, Latif and
Yeah.
Gukesh.
Okay.
Well, no. Let's. I don't mind stopping and
No, I think Jake and Jules makes sense just because Jules has interacted with the doctor before, even with the. I mean, it
Yeah, I
makes
thought
sense.
that it could have been because she was really pissed off of Jules, wasn't she? Dr.
She was,
Soong?
but I think narratively it makes more sense for Jules to be he's asking me about this book that he's thing, and I know that you're the expert, and I'm sorry if I offended you at dinner and blah blah blah, and yeah.
Fair enough.
Cool.
Let's start. Latif, you are disguising yourself as a crew member.
yes. Now, would this best be not rolling disguise now and rolling it when I actually confront him?
I think you should roll it. If you want to spend that, so you can always get that chance for a success to mark it on your thing, and we'll get it in play.
There one.
Do you want to spend
so
the luck?
Master of Disguise. Spend 10 luck to get a bonus die.
Okay.
So I will come down to 53 luck. And roll a D100. 16.
Perfect. You pass muster. You have the disguise. You're able to probably, in the time that you're in the steward's office, maybe grab a spare jacket, that kind of thing. And the two of you, Latif and Kukesh, will go down. And this is in like the farthest end of the first class. The last cabins that would have been sold. There are a couple that are still empty, unoccupied. People that didn't show up, that kind of thing.
Can I just go through the plan
Absolutely.
Because I'm not 100% sure what we're doing.
What the plan is, yes.
What is so we want to get into his room
Mm-hmm.
and therefore get him out because we think he's permanently in his room. So I have lock skills, you do not. So if he locks his door behind him and I escort him, unless you smash his door down, we haven't achieved much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I need to tell him that he needs to go see. We have an acting purser. So I'm saying from the captain, he now needs to go see the purser immediately or within the next 5 minutes. I'll then retreat. We'll hide around the corner. He will hopefully leave his room. If not, I'll go back 10 minutes later and say, the captain's very annoyed that you've not attended.
I mean, I
And if he
what's
attacks
it
me,
called?
you can come to my aid.
I can also just smash his face. Is that an option?
What? Knock on his door. He opens the door, and you fill him in.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's plan B. If he doesn't leave the room after 10 minutes.
Yeah. We'll go through those 2 cycles of trying to get him out. If not, yes, the blue and white striped with a sailor's wool hat. You'll be the captain's muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got a plan, Lowell. We're happy now.
I'm happy. So you will go and you will knock on the door. Kind of announce yourself. Why don't you make
Listen.
a listen roll for me?
I thought you were going to say that. It's not too bad, 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I failed. But I think I'm going to spend 23 of those luck points.
There is a movement in the room, like subtle, quiet, but like kind of odd. But the thing you definitely hear is the sound as somebody cocks back on a pair of pistols.
Can I move to the side of the door?
Absolutely.
I take it they're probably, well, on a ship, they're going to be this age, they'll be steel walls, won't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they won't be able to
I
shoot.
mean, clearly the door's not. The door is going to be a woody door.
Right.
But yes, I'd like to get some.
Yeah,
some
you
steel.
step back and I think you indicate, you gesture to Gukesh like what you have heard. But there's no response from the room.
I will lean round the door this time and tap it so I'm still half of my hand, and I'll tap quite low. Tap the door again.
Just maybe hear the sound of like breathing in there.
I'm indicating that yeah, get Gukesh nearby.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody in there. He's not answering the door, and I heard 2 pistols get cocked.
I mouth the name Bates? Question mark. Yeah.
I don't know. Could be. Good call. But is this a rush job?
Your call. I'm ready. I'm ready for action.
Yeah, sword cane ready. Let's kick the door in and go. I think
That's
somebody's going to take a couple of pistols.
Okay. Gukesh, I think this is a dexterity check to get the drop on this guy.
Let me see. Don't I have like a super skill, something like nimble?
You've got an awesome dex.
Okay.
Actually, I've got a better dex, but
Yeah, you've got if you have to dive for cover,
okay.
when you get shot, you don't lose your next action.
That's good to know. But the dexterity check, is that a D100?
Yeah, you've got a dex check right now of 80.
That should do the trick. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you beat him significantly. So that door comes open, and it's a first-class cabin, but you'll see this figure, like there's blankets and stuff has been kind of dragged over to like almost make like a little pillow fort kind of thing. And you'll see this mad-eyed figure with clothes kind of like clearly unwashed, eyes kind of red-limbed, and he's seated there and he's got his pistols up, and you throw that door open, and this is definitely Bates, and the second you're in there, he's lowering those guns. Let's have you make a firearms check.
Yes. Let's see, what's my firearms at? Ah, wow. That must be like a super hard success.
So that's not an extreme success, but you could lower it to an extreme success if you wanted.
I want it because I want to disarm him.
Okay, so 2 points.
Of luck.
2 points of luck will take that down to a 12, which will be an extreme success for you. So you're firing this off. So the Benny is you want to like at least knock one of these guns out of his hand. Okay. So let's have you roll standard damage for the 45 automatic, which is a D10 plus 2.
D10 plus 2 coming up. Which one is a D10? This one. 10 modifier plus 2. Roll.
Boom. Like
boom.
you hit him right solidly in the side. And he gasps at that, and he will take one. He's got that other gun. He's going to take a shot at you. So he's going to roll, and the gun jams.
Yes.
You see him raise the other one up, and he shakes, and there is that clicking sound that you recognize as the mechanism locking, and you see him like, for the master, for the master, and he keeps pulling the trigger. What do you do, Latif?
I'm gonna run into the room and hopefully run him through with my sword cane.
Absolutely.
Kill him?
This is brawl sword.
Sword.
You use
Yeah,
brawl
brawl sword.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
60.
let's roll.
You get a bonus die because he is sort of seated, wounded, locked in place.
I rolled 30, so that's all good.
Okay. Do you want to roll the bonus die in case you would get a crit?
Even that's a good call. 1d10. What? Oh, there's too many things going on the screen.
Yep. 4. So not a
No.
crit. So go ahead and roll me a d6 damage.
2.
And you'll pin him. He's not dead, but I think the pain between the gunshot and this, like you'll see him there, and blood, of course, that is a huge hit. 10 points is half your health. So he is bleeding out there, and he's just like, his eyes and the things the man, he came to me. He commands. He's here. He commands.
Master.
The master.
Who is the master?
He comes. He will play the music. He will play the music.
It must be the Signor. It must be Gurkesh.
He is anyone he wishes to be. And then I think his head will droop down as his life fades.
Hell's teeth, Gurkesh. Where did you learn to fight? A slaughterhouse?
You killed this man.
You went to town on him. You blew his hand off.
Disarm him, Latif. But I don't think we would have gotten much more out of him. He was clearly obsessed. The master.
Mad. The master. But he is in the cabin of the Signor. The Signor must be his master. But he said he can be anybody.
Exactly.
We must keep our wits about us.
Can I make an occult roll? I have 1, I think. What is it?
Sure.
No, I have 0. I take this.
You have 5 in occult.
Do I? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's 1 in 20 chance. What more could go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Not spending that much.
This is outside your pay grade here.
Maybe the film. I don't know.
Let us toss the room quickly then, before the master comes back.
You will toss the room. You will find that Alvarez had Alvarez, I'm sorry, now I'm doing it. Gutierrez had brought some luggage. You'll open it up like it's empty. The bags that you open until you get to one, and you will see that there is a purser's uniform in there.
Hell's teeth.
And I think that it has that same oily, unpleasant smell as Chad's clothing.
The purser is not.
He ate the purser.
I don't
The
know.
purser came down here and he freaking ate him.
Latif, let's leave before the, whoever
Yes.
comes, and let's
Should we
talk
take
about
the
this.
uniform?
Yes.
The purser's uniform? Yes.
Mhm.
Let's take it.
Why not?
Yeah, there's nothing else in here. You will, I mean,
Okay.
like he didn't bring any luggage. It's the sense you get is that he must have arrived, put his things in here, and maybe was confronted by the purser just after that. But like whatever this thing, this person, the master is, it's moving around the boat.
Who would come on an ocean voyage, first class, with no underpants? It makes no sense.
He was mad.
Quick, let us go.
Let's take 5, and we're going to come back to Jules and Jake. So it's just before dinner. Jules, Jake, do you want to wait until after dinner to talk to the doctor? Do you want to try to talk to the doctor at dinner? How do you two want to play this?
I mean, what if we show up at the doctor's cabin and invite her to dinner?
Yes, I feel no. Perhaps we'll ask, and if she doesn't want to discuss it in her cabin, we can discuss it at dinner. Yes,
Like civilized people.
I'll make the introduction, and I guess you'll well, I'll apologize for whatever I said to our previous dinner, and I'll say that you were told we struck up a conversation, and that you're interested in this book, this book of the Duga Sambota.
Let's keep
And
it
clearly
just a
she's
tiny bit higher and say I'm interested in Nepalese culture. Why don't we? That way if the book comes up, then it comes up, but it doesn't seem like we're fishing for it.
You arrive at the cabin. Basically we're doing a fast talk roll to kind of, a little bit overwhelm her and by social convention and politeness, get her to go to dinner with you. Does that seem reasonable?
Fair to me.
Let's have you roll fast talk, Jake. Oh yeah.
That is 11 under 70.
Okay. So that is a 1/5. So that's an extreme success. So I think she will be kind of struck. You seem like you know what you're doing. Got the introduction from Jules. I think that kind of overcomes, and she would say certainly. And she'll turn to Wing, and he looks at her, and she says he can stay here. And the 3 of you will head off after she grabs her purse, and you will head down to the dining area. Jules, Dr. Sung, you're first class. You're seated well. There is a thing that's going to happen before this is, Jules, as you are kind of heading in, you will see Charles Astor come across and puts his hand on your shoulder, Jules, and says, "Miss Redburn, could I have just a moment of your time?"
Of course, Mr. Astor. Yes, of course. I'll catch up with you, Mr. Malone. If anyone asks, if any of the crew, just say that you're my guest, of course. And I expect a table. I expect a place to be set for you right next to me and Dr. Soon.
Very well.
And he will say, I was unaware of the circumstances of your father's decline.
Yes.
You'll forgive me. I use the telegram extensively on the ship to communicate with my offices back in San Francisco and beyond, and I did ask about you since you were here present. I
quite understand, Mr. Astor. You don't need to apologize.
I understand it must have been quite a strain for you.
Yes. Yes. My father was not in his right mind towards the end, and he made some rather unfortunate choices with his industry.
And as I understand it, that must have put you and your family in something of a financial pinch.
Yes. Yes, it has indeed. Our fortunes are much reduced.
I would like to see what I could do to help perhaps alleviate that. I know that your father was collector of some esoterica and things and odd books, and I have something of an interest in that. And perhaps when we return back to the States after my sojourn in Shanghai, we might be able to meet, and I might be able to buy some of your father's collection and papers and things like that he might have accumulated. As a gesture of generosity on my part, since you've been so kind to Virginia.
I appreciate that very much, Mr. Astor. I must admit I don't like to look at them myself. My father did.
No,
You're
I
right.
could certainly understand why you wouldn't want to do that, and I would do it in the most discreet way possible, and certainly pay you top dollar for anything that your father had acquired.
One thing just springs to mind: a playbook that he purchased not long before the end. I believe he went to go see a performance of it in Paris, and it was never the same afterwards.
He has a playbook of it?
Yes.
Does he
Yes.
have a manuscript as well?
I could look. I could check.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I would be very interested in.
Of course. Of course. I appreciate your discretion and your sympathy, Mr. Astor.
Anything that I can do to help you out, I would dearly love to do that.
Yes. Yes. Of course. And she blinks rapidly, like she's not very good at keeping this up, but
Right.
I imagine the discomfort of talking about her father might pass it off, as
Yep. And he will nod and say, "Well, I will let you get back to your table. I should probably see to Virginia. She's still quite upset."
I have some of my father's belongings with me. I will see if I haven't had a chance to look through it. I haven't brought myself up to it, but I will see if any
his
of it
eyes get like that sort of wide, greedy glint to them. Well, anything that you might have.
Yes, I will take a look. Definitely.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. as he walks away,
As he
just
walks-
like that. Yeah.
Jake, you'll sit down with Dr. Soong. She says, "I cannot place your accent, but I've only lived on the American West Coast. Where are you from, Mr. Malone?"
I'm from pretty much everywhere. Well, I should say I've spent some time pretty much everywhere, but just good old-fashioned Midwest, man.
Oh.
Reporter in St. Louis for the most part. Was in San Francisco looking into some, well, San Francisco is the best place in the U.S. to look into works on China, Nepal, and so on. And I was doing that and realized that I needed to get myself overseas.
Excellent. Are you planning to be a war reporter, perhaps reporting on the Japanese invasion of my homeland?
Well, goodness gracious, I hadn't quite thought of that. But
The
I do
war
have
in
it.
Manchuria continues. It is. We have been. My people have been backed in words only by the U.S. Against the Japanese invaders. But I feel that this is just the first stage in a larger coming war.
Well, ma'am, if you'll beg my pardon for speaking so frankly about my country, the U.S. says a lot of things that it does nothing about.
That seems to give her some assurance.
So maybe I can, if you'll excuse the expression, kill two birds with one stone here. Maybe I can do some more reporting while I'm there, take some pictures and send them back. And I can also research my own interests while I'm there.
Certainly, I have contacts, and I would certainly be willing to write a letter of reference to you, point you in the right direction for the people that you need to talk to. But
And
what
I
is
do
your
have some
interest
experience with the
in?
war.
What is your general interest? I have the sense that you are, I don't want to say fishing for something, but you have something you want to inquire about.
Well, ma'am, I'm chasing down a legend, or at least it seems to be a legend. It's God, you'll have to excuse my pronunciation here because I really only speak but the one language, and I suppose most people would say I don't even speak English that well. But the Book of Duga Samboda, I think it's called.
How are you familiar with that unpleasant book?
Well, this may sound a little bit crazy to you, but I was actually talking to some mobsters back in St. Louis, and they mentioned that there was something they called a tong or a triad that they had been butting heads with, and that they had heard mention of this from one of the people they found.
Let's have you make. You already made successful. Don't forget to mark your fast talk roll. Let's
I didn't
do
mark
this
fast talk.
as psychology here. I think we're doing, like you are trying to kind of come around on our psychology or history. I think either one of those. Let's do history because you haven't rolled that yet, to kind of like draw on that. That's part of her interest to get her to kind of open up. Does that seem reasonable?
23 under 60.
She will say, I had heard when I was in Los Angeles that a copy of that book was floating around, but not among the tongs. I had heard that it had been in the hands of an occultist and then had, after that occultist had met with an untimely fate, had fallen into the hands of an organization that deals with rare tomes. I spoke with them about perhaps acquiring the book or returning it to China, but they indicated that they would not be doing that, which is fine as long as it is in the safekeeping of someone who understands the dangers of such a book.
So the book exists.
It does. as far as I'm aware, I've never actually seen a copy of it myself, but I've heard of it. And you can tell she's telling the truth.
Sounds like it's the sort of book that you really want to make sure doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
It is definitely one of those. It is an unpleasant book.
I see.
Ah, here's Miss Reburn. Are you all right, Miss Reburn?
Yes, yes. Just speaking to an old family friend. I apologize for my absence. You two have been getting along well?
Yes, Mr. Malone here was asking me about various elements of Chinese literature and Tibetan literature.
Good. I must say I apologize for whatever I said at our last dinner. I sometimes let my enthusiasm get the better of me.
I think it's rather that you hide your true intentions, perhaps.
Well, we all have some secrets, don't we, Doctor?
That is very much the case.
If it wasn't, I'd be out of a job. And I laugh.
Let's cut back to Latif and Gukesh. Uh, there, you shut the door, you move out of there, you scatter along before someone. Luckily, this is during the dinner hour, so a lot of people aren't in their cabins. And it's a boat. There are weird sounds on the boat, so it probably will be a bit before people come to investigate the weird set of like sounds from this cabin. What do you two want to do? Do you want to meet up with Reburn, or is there something else you want to do?
Well, we could check out the Malaysian musicians because there was some talk of music that the master is playing.
Yes.
Just to double check.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to
Let's
go
do it.
down? Okay. You two will head down to steerage. You haven't been down here, Latif, but you are skilled at blending in. So I don't think anybody blinks an eye when you're down there. We're down in the area where there's a little bit of space to sit and eat for those cabins there. This is on deck D, I believe. And the musicians are seated there. They're playing a little bit. People are playing cards. They'll glance over at you. They'll wave at Gukesh. Gukesh had a chat with them the other day, and yeah, you can talk to them if you want.
Does one of them have a pipes as a music instrument?
There's a guy with a clarinet, and there's a guy with a saxophone.
But no sort of like pans, pipes.
No.
I will ask the clarinetist. I've heard some weird like music from pipes. Have you heard that as well?
You too?
Yes, it was
Last night for like a half an hour or so. It was like echoing through the ship. It was real low, but that's the kind of thing I pick up on. It was like vibrating through, man. It was not good.
No.
A lady came down here asking about that. A music teacher.
Do you recall her name?
Oh gosh. And it kind of looks around and they go, "Oh, Barnes. She was cute, not my type, but she had asked if it was us that was playing because she had heard it. in the pipes. I said it wasn't us, and certainly it wasn't. We weren't out that late. That was like 3 a.m.
Interesting.
Like coming from the bowels of the ship.
Owls like where the hold is, right?
I guess you'd call it that, probably.
So, Gurkesh, the music teacher, or we head below? I fear that we may need some more assistance if we go below.
But time is of the essence.
I will agree with you. Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it. I
Okay.
thank the Malaysian musician and head over to the green box.
Okay. The two of you will begin heading down. Jules, Jake, tonight's dinner. You will head back to Dr. Soong's cabin, and she will, as she thanks you, and then you see her stop as she kind of turns the handle, and she's like, Wing always keeps the door locked.
Ma'am, may I ask that you step aside?
She will step back.
And I will draw my 45 and rap on the door.
American, I whispered to Dr. Sung as he steps forward with a pistol raised in the middle of first class.
And I'll say something like, ship steward.
And you will hear the sound of a porthole, one of the windows in the cabin, like slam open, and then a weird sound. And I think as you throw open the door, you will see these feet vanishing through the porthole. You will see the body of Wing on the floor. You will see a case laying open. And that is where we're starting next time, is with a figure escaping from you two and Latif and Horst going down into the bowels of this ship. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's do quick stars and wishes. If you don't mind. Let's start with Jake Malone this time.
So much fun stuff. I loved Latif's fast talking and all those failed rolls at the beginning.
Yes.
That was some it felt like the dice injecting some welcome comedy into something that is otherwise really serious. So I really enjoyed that. Even though it caused problems for us. Will, I love the conversation that you had with Aster. That was interesting. It's like suddenly Aster has gone from just being this dippy rich dad to somebody that is very much a person of interest. Horst, Gukesh, I loved, again, the failure at the beginning with trying to speak Chinese to the guards and then them saying, no, they're speaking Cantonese. We speak Mandarin. You may go now. That was so much of what I loved about this session was the way that people reacted to failed dice rolls. So I hesitate to say I'd like to see more of that, but I'd kind of like to see a little bit more of that just because it put some things into play that I don't think it would have otherwise been there.
Yeah.
As far as stars wishes for next time, I mean, things are going to get, I'd wish for things to get worse, but I know they're going to.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, with what do we have left here? 2 sessions now after this one? Yeah, it doesn't feel like that there's going to be much room for Jake Malone to wine and dine either the ship doctor or Dr. Sung, but, a man can dream.
Yeah. I at least got you the scene with the femme fatale doctor at the one of the two at the table. So, Gukesh.
Very enjoyable session. I like the mixture between you know, pure investigation and theorizing, and also the action scene. Love the cockroaches. Always love carpets of cockroaches. And yeah, I have no wishes. I trust that this will be very fun.
Okay. Latif.
Great by Will, you know, with his character that really doesn't have any social skills, but still hitting it hard. And the Mad Geiger counter, I like that. That was very pulpy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's a win, isn't it? Horst, you know, you came up in spades with, you know, you blew his bloody hand off. Yeah, it could have been a great escape moment. Puckett, you know, really good. I think you sort of really steered us quite well, unbeknownly maybe, but into, you know, our last encounter there. You'd done a lot of the groundwork against Bunny. So we therefore knew a bit about him. I don't think we'd have got that really without you doing that first. It added quite a bit. I think if not, it would just been some sort of random gangster in his room, but because you'd done some investigation there before, we knew the character a lot more. So that was really good. And Lowell, yeah, you know, as Horst said, really good pacing. You know, good switch between investigation and combat sort of thing. And I think you're the second greatest person for saying the word bowel. I think only my proctologist can say it better.
Excellent.
Excellent.
And Jules.
I mean, I loved it. The Gurkesh just wanted to kick the door in and you know, blew a guy's hand off. I like the brute force. You know, like I'll just punch the guy like if he doesn't want to talk. I really enjoy the pacing. I love you know, I love a thing with loads and loads of suspects and things in play. And I think it really fits the pulpy sort of tone that it's quickly spiraling out of, you know, events spiraling out of the sort of softly work things out. It's really ramping up, even as we just gain more suspects. Generally speaking, I mean, I feel we've got a pretty good lead on like a particularly bad person, you know, Gutierrez, but whatever that is. But who else might be involved here is a different complication. And yeah, I love Jake having the gun. You know, I just love the idea of the Jake is such a, like, you know, stone cold PI type gumshoe sort of thing. Like, ma'am, step back because he whips out a gun, kind of thing. And thank you for letting me make a Mythos-y Geiger counter.
I love that. That's super in genre for this Pulp Cthulhu.
Yeah, I don't want to step on or shortcut with it. Just I fumble around the ship waiting for things to do the Geiger counter, but I would like to perhaps, you know, do that as a chase or whatever, right? Like to
absolutely,
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, I'm looking forward to it all going up in the air. And I guess my one wish is that Jules is able to track down that film canister, because you know that's clearly what she's actually she could give less of a shit about the rest of the stuff, to be perfectly honest with you.
Absolutely.
You know, this is what killed my dad.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was glad we were able to bring a little bit of that back into play today. So awesome. Thank you all so much. I'm going to stop recording.